Fantastic show set up for you here today inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We have two amazing guests, and I have waited a long time for the opportunity to say what I'm about to say, and that is that Tyler Rouse is here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. My special with Tyler airs today, and Tyler, of course, coming from Central and Upstate New York, one of the names I use many, many times when I discuss the importance of recruiting locally and the fact that there is talent here and the fact that people should not overlook the talent. You know, I've defended Central and Upstate New York, my home, for such a long time. I don't feel like we should have to. There's a lot of great people that are working really hard, and I don't know why they don't always get the appreciation or the respect that they've earned. And Tyler Rouse is one of those names that I bring up when someone says, why would you recruit from Central New York? Why would you recruit in this area? You know, who is there to get, you know, when it comes to football? And I was like, really? Sit down. I got a list. And on that list is Tyler Rouse. And Tyler Rouse, the man, even more important than what he did on the field. I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. Really looking forward to it. And, of course, Baldwinsville B alum and Boston College Eagle alum, and he's fresh off of coaching in the NFL and is now back home in Baldwinsville helping out Carl Sanfilippo, which I'm really excited about. All of this story you're going to hear in the journey of Tyler Rouse. So that's coming up in just a moment. And in hour number 2, as we always do on a Thursday, Papa Joe is going to be joining us to speak on Major League Baseball as well as the NFL preseason. So plenty of great things coming up here where sports meets life. We'll be back with that special with Tyler Rouse right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at MaandPazPopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at MaandPazPopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Coming off of that fast break, we are picture in picture with Tyler Rouse of the history of the Baldwinsville Bees. Tyler is someone that I have heard about for a long time. I have covered BC in my coverage of the ACC, and even watching it before that, there was a connection that I've had with Boston College just over the years. And so I got to cover him from afar, got to see how he did, all the successes he had from afar, spoke with Steve Addazio about him and just what Steve thinks. And we know that Tyler's been with the Baldwinsville Bees at Boston College. He's had connections to the NFL. He's back here in the community now, coming full circle. And Tyler, I have to admit this openly and to the world, I have waited very impatiently for us to have a conversation with each other. I was like, he doesn't know me, I don't know him. And I know that, like, with people in the sports world, especially if you've kind of seen the different sides of the media and different people that you get, a lot of people are protective of, like, I don't know this person. Who are they? What do they stand for? Let me get to know them a little bit. So I want to say thank you, because you and I have been strangers. We didn't get to cross paths before, and I was going to keep trying every year, every couple of years, because I really, really wanted to sit down with you and learn your story and get to share it through the way that I like to do things. So I'm thanking you that we finally got this to happen, and that you finally gave me the opportunity, because I was not going to stop reaching out to you,
Yeah.
Tyler, for sure.
No, it's been a long time coming. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate what you do in the community and everywhere else. So thank you.
Carl Sanfilippo, has he said hopefully nice things about me? Yes.
Yeah, all good things. All good things, always.
So Carl Sanfilippo, and I bring him up here because, and I was gonna, and apparently you already, you know this because you've talked to him, but I don't know if you know the extent of it. So Carl Sanfilippo and I, a couple of years ago, I am a Jaguar. I've been a Jaguar fan since they came into the league in 1995. I wanted my own team. I'm a Fred Taylor fan. So when him and I sat, you were working on the Tennessee Titans staff. And I was like, okay, I still like Tyler. I'll forgive him for this. But I said to him, he was like, all right, we're going to make a bet. And we were playing rapid fire. And every month we do shows with the BVille Bees at Pizza Man right there in the community on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. So him and I are sitting on stage. We're live. We're on video. We're on audio. It's going out to the world, and it's to everybody that's sitting there. And he says, I'm going to make a bet with you. I said, all right. And he said, and he had one of his big offensive linemen sitting on the other side of me. He said, Jacksonville and Tennessee. He said, when do they play each other this season? They play each other twice. And he said, okay, the first time that they play each other, the first game that they have this season, if Tennessee wins, you got to feed me and you got to feed my offensive lineman sitting here. If Jacksonville wins, then I will take you out to dinner, whatever you want, wherever you want, and I'll pay for it. And I said, Coach, it's not fair, because you're going to eat, and you got this lineman, God bless him, he's going to go out there and eat. So I got to eat for two, like, I'm going to eat a full meal, and then I'm going to get a meal to bring home. But he has stayed with it. We texted a little while ago, and he said to me, I do owe you that meal. I didn't forget. So did he tell you that it was built around you, because he's like, I'm going to go with Tennessee because of Tyler. I went with Jacksonville because it's my team. But did you know that A, he owes me a meal, and B, did you know that he made this bet thinking that he was going to win?
No, I didn't know he made the bet, and I didn't know it revolved around a meal. I just knew that he was due to connect with you. But that's pretty good right there. I like that. But luckily for you, I mean, not really for me, but you would have been coming out of your pocket pretty good there with an O lineman. But no, that's great.
So, I mean, do you think that I mean, I love Coach, and I got a lot of appreciation for him. He's been good to me. He's been good to my family, good to my mom, which means a lot to me. But Carl Sanfilippo, in my opinion here, great guy, and so I would feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. I feel guilty with anybody paying for like $1 of a meal for me. Yeah. But I got to ask you this, being one of his former players, knowing that he agreed to this bet, Like, do I have to go get some lobster tail and filet mignon? And then why? I mean, what do I got to do with coaching?
I mean, you gotta go easy on him a little bit, but no, I mean, Coach always pays his debts. He's a great dude, unbelievable character, and I learned a lot even from playing for him, from that side of things. So I think he'll be all right wherever you decide to go. But yeah, I'd say just go easy on him.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I mean, I know he'll do it, and we'll go out, and I'm going to take my wallet out at the end of the night and be like, Coach, I appreciate you being honest. I appreciate you like saying you're going to live by your bet, but like I don't want you to pay for my food. I don't feel right with that. But I will tell him, I'll be like, listen, you got all the stuff that you do on the side in your world of scuba diving. Just like give me a lesson or something. Like take me out and let's do that. But Tyler Rouse here with us. Tyler, you in BVille and in central and upstate New York in general, and I don't know if you know this, but I mean, I'm from Syracuse. I'm from the north side. I grew up right by St. Daniel's Church and Lincourt Bakery and all that. And I have made it one of the things that's really important to me, has always been important to me, is our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that it gets enough credit. I know it doesn't. I have been praised and chastised for supporting the Central and Upstate New York student athlete. The praise I don't need, the chastising I don't need either, but I really don't care. I love the student athletes here. And you're a student athlete that came from here and showed that, like, listen, I should be recruited. I should be out there. You play Division I FBS football. You are a beacon of light and a beacon of hope to so many people in our community. I just want to get your thoughts on supporting Central and Upstate New York, not just football, but in general, because I have lived by this. I'm willing to die by it. I will never stop supporting the athletes in our community. And you're one of the athletes that whenever I tell the stories, when people want to refute me and go, why would you support Central and Upstate New York? There's nobody here. There's nobody in football. You're one of the first names that comes flying out of my mouth. So what are your thoughts on the local student athlete and being one of those student athletes that went against the narrative, essentially bucked the narrative?
Yeah, I think just from my experience and going through from the playing side and coaching side, Central New York is knocked a little bit, and I think the student athletes here are just as good, if not better, than some other areas. And I think the main knock on us is, well, especially in football, is competition of play across the board, right? We aren't New Jersey, we aren't Ohio, we aren't Florida, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any athletes here that are putting in work, that are putting up great numbers and doing everything by the book and doing things how they should, So I think for any student athlete out there that are trying to make it and trying to get a scholarship, or it's really just put your nose down and work, and when you're good enough, hope they should find you, And then my recruiting process was a little unique, and I was young and I didn't really know a whole lot about the recruiting process, and there's so much more information out now, right? So yeah. I think that's an advantage. But I think just being a good person, working hard, and then performing on the field, whatever field that is, you're going to get recognized. So that's what I would say to current student athletes. But I love that you constantly support. I'm the same way. Like, people used to knock me, where you play at? I'm like, upstate New York, and then they say they got football up there. But it's like, yeah, we got football, and we're pretty good, So yeah. I think it's just, and I live by it, and I really want to see the community continue to grow. I think it has grown in the years that I've been away, but the community's grown, and the standpoint from student athletes getting a fair chance and getting a good look,
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, there's so much here, and mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be Ohio, it doesn't have to be Florida, but you navigated through it, and like you said, you're young when you're going through the recruitment. It was different. It wasn't like this social media, coaches reaching out to you on Twitter and all this stuff.
Yeah.
when you were going through it, did you ever feel that? Did you ever feel that pressure of like, people don't think that I'm that great. People don't think anybody from here is that great. Like maybe if I was in Florida, if I was in Oklahoma, or if I was in California, they would hear the name Tyler Rouse and go, "Oh, maybe he's good." But did you ever feel like no matter how hard you worked, people were still like, it's a New York kid? Did you get a sense for that?
Yeah, I can't say that I did have that sense. I think I was a little naive to the whole thing, anyways, because as a sophomore and junior, I was getting letters sent to the athletic office, and they had everywhere from SEC schools to Big Ten to ACC. So I kind of was like, okay, like I'm just getting letters and I'm getting my due diligence. I guess the coaches are finding interest. Not realizing that those letters get sent out a lot to a lot of different people. So I really was kind of naive to that whole side of it, and or ignorant, I should say, that I didn't really know that there was this barrier. And then as I got to my senior year, and I put up another great season, I just was expecting that eventually something would happen. I didn't really have any bias. I didn't have the sense, oh, it's upstate New York versus. I just kind of started questioning, like, hey, am I as good as I thought I was? And had that kind of sense kick in, only to realize that, I did some things that were great, and so that's kind of how I felt going through the process. I didn't necessarily know that it was more so the area just isn't recruited as heavily.
Yeah.
I thought it was more so maybe there's other people in my class, maybe there's something that I'm missing. So that was kind of more my mindset.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, you talk about your senior year. I'm going to read these numbers, but they look like they're not real. I mean, your senior year with the Baldwinsville Bees, you rushed for 2,977 yards on 333 carries, 8.9 yards per carry, and 45 touchdowns in 2012. That's a career for people in college. That's like a 4-year total. That's like an NFL, over three. Like if you're a back that's within a 2 to 3 back system, they did that in 5 years. They did that in 3 years. They did that in 7 years. 2,977 yards, 333 carries, 8.9 yards a carry, 45 touchdowns in 2012. Mm-hmm. Tyler, like, what? I mean, like, yeah, no. What? I mean, seriously, I mean, your name arguably is the first name when it's Central and Upstate New York student athletes. It's the first name that people fly out. It's like that. It's that, like, Tyler Rouse came here. Did you not Tyler Rouse? Like, did you see him? Did you get to watch him play? Go back and watch. What? I mean, you ran for over 6,000 yards at BVille, which in total, I mean, we're talking about 6,941, 807 carries, 8.6 yards a carry as a career at BVille, to go with that 8.9 from your senior season. Who are you, Tyler?
No, I think all those numbers are a testament to the guys that I had up front throughout those years. I think without them, there's no doubt that those numbers would have been a little lower, right? And I think it's just I was in a great system. I worked hard. Early on, I made it, not early on, but I kind of knew that I wanted football to be my thing around my freshman year, and I really dedicated my time to just training all off season, weightlifting, running, and kind of just focus on that one thing, I love playing. I played hockey. People don't really realize I played hockey for almost 9 years. I was pretty good at that. I played baseball to my JV season, and then at some point I was like, no, what? I got to focus up and get really focused on what I want to do. And I was fortunate enough to be healthy and have those type of numbers and the type of career that I had. So, but it was definitely an experience to go through during that time. It was just I don't even think I realized what was happening when it was going on, you know. So it was incredible in career and experience for me. So
We talk about Carl Sanfilippo, the head coach, longtime head coach of the Baldwinsville Bees football program. We know he likes to run the ball. So great for you. And like you said, great for the guys up front. Do you believe that you helped to prove him right of this like old fashioned, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to have it? Because as football has changed to a lot of people and evolved and it's finesse and this and that, Carl, no matter what anybody says from the outside looking in, he's like, hey, this is what we do. This is who we are. And I love that. And you went to a school in BC that's the same way. BC was like, we're going to punch you in the mouth running the ball. We're going to have stout defense. And that's what Carl Sanfilippo, we're going to punch you in the mouth running the ball. We're going to have stout defense. I commend him that as the world around him is going, do this, do that, do this, do that, he's going, this is who we are. This is what we're going to work with. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Do you feel like...
I just think that... No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I just think that the biggest thing, culture, when it comes from the top down, it makes it very easy for everything to fall in place, right? And then the next thing I'd say to that is you can't really go broke making a profit, you know? And if you're doing something and it's having success and it works, why change because it's the flashy or different thing to do, you know? I think had things not been successful, guess what? Well, I don't think coach is a good coach. I think he would try to make it happen a different route, right? But when something works and something is effective, it's like almost like why would you go and change that unless it was for further improvement on what you're already doing. But I think it's a culture standpoint. I think it was successful. It worked, and I mean I think kind of to the core that's who coach is, and it was just a great period to be there and to be able to see it, you know, and live through it.
You mentioned your offensive line. I listen very intently and closely to running backs who tell me that they're awesome and running backs who tell me my offensive line is awesome. And thankfully, it's been the latter 9 times out of 10. I can't honestly remember a running back going, you know how great I am. They're always deferring to the offensive line. So I would love to, by name, have you speak on your offensive lineman you had at BVille.
Yeah, so I had Jake Margray. I believe he's like 6'2", maybe 265. My sophomore year, he was really someone who I looked up to growing up. In the weight room, he was that big, kind of gritty O-lineman, kind of an alpha, you know. Had him my sophomore year. Then I had Nick Robinson, who went on to go ahead and get a scholarship and played at Syracuse. Another, I think he was like 6'5", 280. He's the nicest person off the field, but you wouldn't want to catch him on the field, you know. Matt Moreland, who was another guy that was, again, he played hoops, pretty athletic, more athletic type of O-lineman. And I had Scott Orr, I believe my sophomore and junior season. He was another staple. And then my senior year, we had guys like Jake Greer, Luke Earl, Dave Solosky, and trying to think of one more, Marcel Penfield. All these guys who were some were younger, some were older, some were veteran, guys that were young with experience. So just between from my sophomore year to my senior year, I mean, all those guys were extremely athletic and big for high school. I mean, from a high school standpoint, you know, I mean, the first O-line I just told you about my sophomore year, maybe one guy was under 6 foot and maybe one guy was under 250, 260 pounds. And the best thing about all of them is they embraced it. It wasn't like, hey, I'm an O-lineman, but I would prefer to be like a tight end. It was, you know, we're the O-linemen and we're gritty and we're going to grind. And so I think between all those guys, it was just a great experience. And I was very fortunate to have all those guys in front. And if I'm missing someone that's out there that might hear this, I apologize. not forgetting you, but I know it was a big group effort up front.
Yeah, and that's that success, that comes together, and I'm happy that we got to do that today because if the offensive line does their job, nobody talks about them. They talk about them if they hold. They talk about them if they miss something, but it's they're unsung heroes, and yet the quarterback doesn't do anything without them. The running back doesn't do anything without them. The tight ends don't do anything without them. The wide receivers don't do anything without them. It's really hard to score without offensive line. So I appreciate that. You went to BC with Steve Addazio, and Steve Addazio is a really good friend of mine, Louis as well. And I love Steve, love Louis, love the family. You went from a coach, like I said, that believed in running the ball and stout defense to a coach that believed in running the ball and stout defense. And you have these old, you have these Italian heritage, is it fair for me to say that going from Carl to Steve, you're spoiled? Is that fair?
Yeah, I felt like that transition was, it felt like home. I understood from my high school experience and being around Coach Sanfilippo and what that experience was like was very similar to my college experience, obviously at a heightened level because you have the ACC and it's a little different. But from the standpoint of just making that transition as a young freshman, what's expected of you, what hard work looks like, what culture is, and how to instill culture in yourself and throughout the rest of the team. That transition was, I was very fortunate and definitely lucky to have two great coaches to play for and to have very similarities in their how they view football and their culture. So it was definitely a blessing.
Yeah, and Steve Addazio, I don't think he got enough credit, and you could tell me if I'm wrong in this, but made a bowl game all but 1 year as the head coach, kind of unceremoniously let go from Boston College. But to me, like you said, you can't go broke making a profit. They weren't a 10-win team. They weren't playing for a national championship, but in a lot of seasons they were better than Syracuse. They were going to more bowl games than Syracuse and then a lot of other teams out there. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think, when you played at BC and after you at BC and, A.J. Dillon, for goodness, there's a lot of running backs that came through BC where you're just looking at these guys going, wow, these dudes can ball. They're making it. Williams as well, making it to the NFL. I don't think Boston College or Steve Addazio has gotten the credit of consistently having a winning season, consistently getting to a bowl game. It's really hard. And I think, Syracuse is your hometown, and you see the amount of time in between bowl games and winning bowl games and whatnot. So I guess I just don't understand the narrative that BC under Steve Addazio wasn't doing enough, because to me, you guys were doing a lot more than a lot of other places, and consistency in going to a bowl game, I don't see a problem. You went to multiple bowl games while you were there.
Yeah. No, first off, I think Coach Addazio was great. And, unfortunately for that head coach position, no matter where you're at, you're never going to get the credit really that you deserve.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but it's part of the business. And I really don't have too much say on what should have been done, or because that's way above. If I knew what to do, then I'd probably be in that profession doing it, making those decisions. But at the end of the day, I do believe that I do know that he was a great coach. I thoroughly love playing for him, coaching with him, and it is unfortunate, but that's just kind of how the business rolls. But like you said, we've had some great teams that come through there, and great players that have come out of Boston College, obviously over the years, and then obviously during his tenure there. So I think that's kind of how I feel. I don't have too much really to say about what should have been done. I just know that he's a great person, great coach, and I was very fortunate and blessed to have the opportunity to play for him.
Going through your recruitment, Tyler, did Syracuse push? And I'm asking this because I didn't know.
Yeah.
You and I didn't know each other back then. So What was the recruitment like? Not just Syracuse, but in general. Was there a lot besides Boston College? A lot of schools. Did Syracuse? Was there a path there? Kind of bring me into that.
Yeah, so my process with Syracuse, it was a little wishy-washy, not necessarily on their end, maybe on mine as well. I didn't get early, like it didn't seem like they had early interest in me, even from my sophomore, junior seasons and then into my senior year.
Yeah.
I did have a meeting or two with the assistant coaches that came to the building, to the school to meet with me and say, hey, we'd like to get to know you more and maybe have you out for camp. But it just ultimately didn't end up working out where they decided to go a different route or they couldn't get over whether it be my size or whatever else they just didn't necessarily like about me or just couldn't do, or whether it be scholarship issues or positional number where maybe they didn't want to recruit. I don't know. But ultimately it didn't work out. So that was that. And then as far as my other recruiting, actually I had Temple was heavily recruiting me, and that's where Steve Addazio was at prior to Boston College, and that's where the connection finally or was made first. I think it was Coach Rogers had came to the building, recruited me. I was able to go out to campus and into a Temple camp. I did perform great at the camp that they have for the high school athletes, and that was where the kind of connection and the heavily invested more so in getting recruited from Temple happened. And then about halfway through my senior season, it kind of went cold. Not hearing much from anyone. Even Temple kind of fell off, and I didn't realize there was a coaching change going on, and that transition was happening, and that was that was the reason why the conversation kind of died down at Temple. Because I don't think Coach Dowsey wanted to recruit a kid to a place that he could potentially leave, and he was just doing the right thing. So, anyways, that kind of happened. Albany. I had Coach Casulo there. He was heavily recruiting me at Albany, and I went on a visit there, and it went well. And I got offered a scholarship, but I don't believe that it was full. Might have been partial or whatever. And then, sure enough, BC Coach Al Washington, the running back coach at BC, reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to be at your school." I think it was like Monday. I think he's going to be at our school on Wednesday. Called me, showed up, and didn't offer me there. I just had a conversation, got to meet them. Then I got to go out to campus on an official visit. And then after my official visit, it kind of was a waiting game. We're into like almost February at this point, getting close to February where signing day was. Before they had the early signing day, it was just, I believe, February 15th or whatever day it was. But he, nothing really, and they said that they wanted to offer me, but they might have to gray shirt me because of the scholarship numbers and kind of the situation, and they decided that they may have to push my offer to the following spring. So that was kind of down, and then 2 days later, which were at like a day before signing day, I get a phone call from Coach Addazio and said that we're going to offer you right now, and not gray shirt, and I was through the roof. I'll never forget. I was at my best friend's house, sitting on the couch, hanging out, playing NCAA, I think, at the time. Coach Sanfilippo calls me. He goes, "Hey, get over to my house." And at the time, I was like in high school. I'm like, "Oh man, what did I do? I thought I did something wrong. Like, what does Coach want?" I get over there, and then he had told me in person, and then I made a phone call, and that's how I got recruited and offered by Boston College.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate that background because, like I said, I've been like loving what you've done and everything that you've accomplished from afar, and getting to hear that story, and I appreciate you being so open about it. I mean, you went off to BC and you had a ton of success. You never played in less than double-digit games every season as a freshman, all the way through, and then most recently we look at the Tennessee Titans, and you were there on the coaching staff. Was there any NFL or like beyond at BC? Was there any from you like I want to be in the NFL? I want to play here. Like bring me into kind of post BC, and then into the Titans coaching.
So my last season at BC, my senior year, I was a pretty good punt returner that year. I was doing a good job, new role for me that year. Really enjoyed it. But I think from the tailback perspective, I didn't have as many carries as maybe I would have liked, or not. Maybe I just didn't do enough of those carries. But regardless, I just got to this place of kind of in between. And actually, at our bowl game we played Maryland in the Quick Lane Bowl my senior season, and we won that bowl game, first bowl game BC won in a while. And we're celebrating in the locker room, and I get pulled aside. And I was fortunate enough that one of the coaches pulled me aside and was like, hey, would you want to be a coach? And I was like, trying to figure out, I'm just celebrating. I just played my last college football game, and my dream as a kid was always to be in the NFL and to play in the NFL, and that was kind of my dream. So I'm celebrating whatever, I get asked to be coach, and I can't quite remember what I said, but essentially I was like, I think I would, and we ended up saying, well, call us back later in a week or so, and we'll let you kind of stew on it a little bit and actually think about if it's what you want to do, and we can get you in to be a coach. And so Frank Prino, when I say coach, I meant strength and conditioning coach. So Frank Prino was the head strength and conditioning coach at the time at BC, and there was a position and opening up, and he was the one that said, hey, we think you'd be great for being a coach. So I'm stewing on it now, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking between my pro day, because I didn't get invited to the combine, so I would have done a pro day at BC, and either chose that or this job. I didn't want to be 50-50, like, hey, I'll be a coach if the NFL doesn't work out. I think that it's huge to just pick one thing, and to, if that's what you're going to do, you go all in on it, So that was where I was at, and I kind of just thought on it and really try to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. And ultimately, I thought the best decision for me and for my future family and for my career would be to get in coaching. So took the job, and then I started coaching literally, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. I had to go through as like more of an intern, because I was still graduating from BC at the time. Didn't elect to do the pro day, so I was just coaching the next rotation of players that came in, a couple of the gray shirts, guys that I was just playing on the field with. That I was their strength coach and kind of interning and learning, and I had to get certified and go through a bunch of different stuff in order to become a strength coach. But throughout the summer and throughout that year, that's how I got into strength and conditioning. So that was kind of my journey into coaching. I worked at BC as a strength conditioning coach for, I want to say 4.5, maybe 5 years after I got done playing, which was great. I worked for Coach Addazio, and I was even there when Jeff Hafley came in. And then after that, I decided that I would try to continue to network and improve and try to see where I would end up. I actually came back to BVille for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then decided that I was going to go to Colorado State, where Coach Addazio made me up at. So then I went out there, worked there for about 9 months, but because I was a year behind that cycle and with COVID and everything else, he ultimately ended up getting let go of there, which means that I didn't get to stick around. So I was fired after being in Colorado State for about 9 months, and then came back to BVille again. Was here for about 3 months, kind of just trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And then I get a phone call from the same boss, Frank Prino, who got me into strength conditioning, who was the head strength coach at the Titans. And he had called me and said, hey, we'd like you to come out and interview. So I went out and interviewed, and it kind of just ended up being where I got the job, and I became a Titan. So I made it to the NFL. I like to say it to my mother, and I kind of made it to the NFL just in a different way, So it's just funny how that worked.
Yeah, I mean, what you really said, Tyler, was it's all about relationships. You ended up
Hmm.
seeing the same faces throughout, right? You connected with
Yep.
Steve, then you connected with Steve again. Connect with Frank, then you connect with Frank again. It's amazing that in today's world, when we talk about clicks and followers and likes and subscribers and all this stuff, when it sounds like you attest to something that I attest to, that Coach Sanfilippo, that Coach Addazio, that Frank, that all these people that you met attest to, and that is it will never become out of style to build good, strong, consistent, positive, meaningful relationships. And I'd love for
Yeah.
you
No, that's
to kind of give your thoughts on that, because it seems like your life has revolved around the fact that you're not burning your bridges and you're
yeah.
trying to create meaningful connections.
No, I think, like you said, like it's never going to go out of style. And I think the coaching industry in itself, or really any industry, but it's surrounded by people that has to trust you and has to know you. And I think it's just such a tight knit community that the more relationships that you can have that are meaningful, not just, hey, how are you? It's how's the family? How can I help you out? What do you need? And I've been blessed to be around a lot of those guys, and people that have seen me from the time that I was a player and my work ethic and how I approach things to then think that I'd be a good enough coach, then to then continue to have those same values, and to have them continue to consider me later down the road. So I think, like you said, I think the networking and having those meaningful conversations and just ultimately being a hard worker and good person will get you to where you want to be.
Time flies. I've waited years upon years for this, and I have so much more to ask you, which I hope you'll allow me to have you on again. But
Absolutely.
I do want to hit with this final point. Why did you fall in love with football, and why are you still in love with football so many years later?
I fell in love with football because for me, it was a way of me to express myself. I played multiple sports. I played football or baseball, hockey, and there's something about football that it was just such an experience from early on that I just was like, I get to run around and hit people. Oh, I can go celebrate when I score a touchdown. I can also get myself through college and to do something with my life through this game, and it just became this fixation on how do I continue to improve, and how do I continue to help myself so that I can set myself up for a life that I'm proud of, So I think that was the real realization as a kid, was more so I could just run around, hit people, and have fun with my friends. And then as I got older into high school and into college, it kind of evolved to this is something that can change my life, and has changed my life. And I think that's why now, and even as a coach, I continue to love, because I think back about what that little Pop Warner football game has turned into and where it has placed me, over the years. So,
And and you said this too, and I want to give a shout out to your mom, Amy, that you've had obviously her support, and like you said, you like to tell your mom after all these years you made it to the NFL, and you did, and now you're back here. As we continue in this whole conversation, the thing that kind of has been woven through this whole thing is relationships and always finding your way back home. You're back in BVille now, and I think we're spoiled. So to come full circle of, man, I wish I got to talk to him when he was at BVille too. Now I'm talking to him when he's at BVille. Tyler, I
yeah,
want to thank you for being a part of Wake Up Call here inside the Heritage Hill Studios, and I just want to tell you that it's an honor to do this today, but that you've had a fan in me for a very long time. And I'll never forget that I asked Steve Addazio about you, and he said he is the hardest working player, not offense, not running back. He said he is the hardest working player in practice. So you have definitely carried yourself well with people that I greatly respect and appreciate, Carl and Steve included. And it's been a long time coming, but I thank you that you've finally given me the opportunity to do this, because I have respected you from afar for a really long time.
I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on, and hopefully, I mean, we could do this again, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you, and it's been great.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servamation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean-to-cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I could tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports truly meets that thing called life. Proud to be hanging out with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and it's Thursday, so it's PJ time. Chilling with the PJ, that's what we do here. So Papa Joe hanging out with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. PJ, the go-so, the grand old smooth one. And I'm spoiled to have Papa Joe here on the broadcast because he is something special. And I appreciate him so very much. And we get to have these conversations every single week, which I'm very honored to have and very proud to have. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, it's time to bring PJ back into the broadcast again. And we have plenty, like I said, to discuss here on the show in the baseball and football world. So let's bring in the man of the hour, Papa Mother Freaking Joe. PJ, how we doing?
Very good, Daniel. This is me, GUSO in the pink.
Yeah, happy to have you here, PJ. And I know that in the baseball world, things are getting heated up. There's been some updates on things that have happened. I love this, and shout out to Jerry, who's been supporting me since day zero. I love PJ, like I told you and Mary off the air, that I didn't want to be selfish and keep you all to myself. I wanted to share you with the world, and if you oblige me, which you did, and to allow people to hear the conversations that I appreciate so very much and be able to put them out there about sports and life. And when you come on the show now, people get excited right off the bat. And I love it, and it means a lot to me, and it warms my heart because Papa Joe is the best of the best, folks. It doesn't get better than PJ. So I do want to make a note here because things are getting really interesting. Now, the Yankees and the Orioles are still duking it out. I know you're going to get into the standings, but I just want to let people know as a little preface here. PJ was right about the Houston Astros. I talked about it earlier this week with on DT and Murphy inside a wake-up call. They are 5 games ahead of the Mariners, 10 games ahead of the Rangers. The Phillies, even if they've tripped up in certain places, are still in good footing. But the Milwaukee Brewers have the largest lead of any division. There is no division of the 6 divisions in baseball. There is no team that is farther ahead of the second place team in their division than the Milwaukee Brewers. The Dodgers are 4 ahead of the Diamondbacks and the Padres. The Phillies are 7 ahead of the Braves. The Astros are 5 ahead of the Mariners. The Guardians are 2.5 ahead of the Twins and the Royals. The Yankees are only a half game ahead of the Orioles, But the Milwaukee Brewers are 11 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals, and that division's insane because when you look at that division, the Brewers are double-digit games ahead of the second-place team. No other division has a double-digit game lead. But if you look at the 4 teams in that division, there's 11 games between Milwaukee, the first-place team in the NL Central, and St. Louis, the second-place team. But between the Cardinals and the Reds, it's a half a game. Between the Cardinals and the Cubs, it's a half a game. Between the Cardinals and the last-place Pirates, it's 3 games. So all 4 of those teams are close to each other, but no one is anywhere near the Milwaukee Brewers. And I just find that interesting, and I want to give a shout-out there because I know Miss MT is from Wisconsin, so I wanted to show some love there. But, PJ, I'm going to unleash you into the baseball world. I know that we got a lot to go over. I just kind of wanted to plant that seed that the Milwaukee Brewers have the strongest separation, which is more than the Phillies to the Braves and the Mets, and more than anybody else in the country. So I wanted to give respect where respect is due, and now I hand it to you, my good sir.
Okay, well, that was it. That's good information. I have something to say about the Central Division when I get there.
Yeah.
Let's start with the American League. We'll start with the East, like I usually do. The Yankees are 74-53. Baltimore's a half a game behind. Boston's 6.5 behind. Now, with respect to this division, certainly New York and Baltimore are already in the playoffs, no doubt about that. Boston, unbelievably so, has a 40% chance of getting to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because the Western Division is so poor. So Boston has a 40% chance still. They're 6.5 behind. Okay, Central Division. Cleveland, 73-53. Minnesota and KC are 2.5 behind. All of these teams, I'm going on a limb here, all of these teams will make the playoffs. No sweat at all. None of them. Western Division, Houston, 68-58. You're right, correct. I did prophesize that. I've been blowing Houston's horn all year, waiting for them to wake up. Seattle's 5 behind, Texas 10 behind. None of these guys are going to make the playoffs. The only team that's going to make the playoffs in this division is the division leader. If Houston hangs on, they win. Seattle, Texas, see you later. No way. So just to review, New York and Baltimore are going to make the playoffs easily. Boston has a 40% chance to win. Cleveland, Minnesota, and KC, all of them will make the playoffs. Houston is ahead in this Western Division. Only the winner of that division will make the playoffs. Seattle and Texas don't have a chance. Now let's go over some individual stats. Average-wise, Bobby Witt of KC is still hitting .352 and leads the league. He is a sensational player. I just love to watch this kid play ball. He's a vacuum cleaner at shortstop, and he can hit the hell out of the ball. Aaron Judge is at .334. Home runs, Judge has 47. With RBIs, he's got 117. Now, with this situation, they're very tenuous here for Bobby Witt. If he wants to win the division batting crown, then he's got to stay ahead of Judge, who's at .334. Now, Judge has a chance for the Triple Crown. You heard me talk about this before.
Yeah.
The Triple Crown is you hit for average, you lead in home runs, and you lead in RBIs. All 3 of those. Aaron Judge is really on the precipice of another historical deal here, just like Ohtani was last year. Judge certainly will be a hands-down most valuable player this year. I'm curious to see if Witt will slip and Judge can continue to hit right. Wins, Seth Lugo, Kansas City's got 14. Tarek Skubal from Detroit has 14 wins. Now, Detroit has no chance of going anywhere, but they got a hell of a pitcher. I don't know why the kid wasn't traded by then. He's also leading the league in ERA at 2.49. Love it. Maybe they'll build a team around him next year. Hope his arm doesn't go out. Emmanuel Clace of Cleveland has 37 saves. He is by far the best and the most. Now, the National League, we've got Philly, as you said, at 74-52, leading the division. Atlanta's 7.5, 7 back. New York's 8.5 back. Now, the way I see it, Philly and Atlanta are going to make the playoffs, even despite Atlanta's poor play this year. New York has a 25% chance of making the playoffs. Very slim. They're still there. However, when we had this conversation a month ago, you couldn't find New York with a search warrant. I mean, you were gone.
Oh, by the way, PJ, there's no search warrants anymore. You can't go to jail in the state of New York.
Well, anyway, they got a shot at the playoffs, even though it's only 25%.
Yeah.
Central Division, you're correct with Milwaukee, 73-53.
Yeah.
None of the other teams have a chance to the playoffs. You can forget about it. Done. Toast. So Milwaukee's just going to have to sharpen their fangs and get ready for the playoffs. In the West, it gets a little interesting. The Dodgers are 76-52. Arizona's 4 back. San Diego's 4 back. All three of these teams will make the playoffs. Again, that's my prognostication. I don't have a problem saying that. They're all that good. They woke up in the middle of the year, Arizona especially.
Yeah.
They're all starting to hit the ball a little bit better. He's hitting 221, which isn't very good, but at least it's above the Mendoza line. And San Diego just has a terrific hitting team. So let's review that again. We got Philly and Atlanta are going to make the playoffs. Why, in my opinion, New York is 25% out. Milwaukee will win the division easily. None of these other teams will make the playoffs. In the West, the Dodgers lead the division, but all three of the teams will make the playoffs. Good. Average-wise, Marcell Ozuna is hitting 309. Arias from San Diego and Miami is hitting 302. Ozuna's got a chance for a Triple Crown too, albeit not really as strong. Ohtani's leading with home runs with 39, but he's only hitting 291 batting averages. He's in a little bit of a slump. He's dropped 20 points in the last 2 weeks. RBIs, Ozuna's got 94, Ohtani's got 88. Now, if Ozuna can hit a few more home runs and Ohtani backs up a little bit, Ozuna's got a shot for a Triple Crown. And he certainly leads the league in most valuable players, too, although Ohtani will be right there with him. Both of these players are probably going to go down to the wire. With wins, we got Chris Sale from Atlanta's got 14. He also leads the league in ERA with 2.62. You've heard me talk about Chris Sale for years. Played for Boston. He's a nasty left-hander. He's Josh Hader, who's bigger and stronger in starts. He is filthy. He's nasty.
Yeah.
Saved Ryan Helsley of St. Louis, still leading with 38. That's it in a nutshell. I have other news to talk about, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I want to get to your predictions, PJ, and I appreciate it as always, the breakdown that you have in the world of sports and right now talking about baseball and the conversation that we're having here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When you were talking about the American League, the 6 teams that you had going in, of course, 3 are divisional champions, and then there's 3 wild card. You said that of the American League East, the Yankees and the Orioles will make it. I agree with you. You said in the Central Division that we would have 3. You said in the AL Central that we would have Cleveland, Minnesota, and Kansas City all make it there. I want to stop there for a second here and get your thoughts on this a little bit deeper. The Cleveland Guardians, the Minnesota Twins, and the Kansas City Royals. Now, Brendan and I made a prediction on Monday that the Kansas City Royals will win that division. And they're only 2.5 games back. The Twins are 2.5 back. And the Guardians have been doing some good things. They did have the best record in the American League. The Arizona Diamondbacks won up against them from the National League and maybe helped out the Twins and the Royals a little bit. But taking a look at your predictions, I agree with the Yankees and the Orioles. I want to go to the Central, though. What makes you believe that the Central Division of the American League, that the Guardians, the Twins, and the Royals will all make it? That's my first question is, why do you believe 3 of the 5 in that division will make it? And secondly, who do you think is going to end up winning that division?
Well, for a couple of months I've been on KC's bandwagon.
Yeah.
I've liked even when they were 8 and 10 games back. They're just too good of a team. They have a hitting team and some decent pitching. Look, at all three of these teams have won over 70 games, just like the Yankees in Baltimore. Houston, barely could. These are 68 wins. So, once you put a pencil to it and you look at the records, there's no doubt that these teams are going to play. It's going to be interesting, though, to see who can fight for the pennant. I still like Kansas City. I don't think they're going to back up at all. Cleveland is extremely tough. They ride on Jose Ramirez, who is a terrific player himself. He's always in the hunt for average home runs and RBIs every year. He's an underrated player. He's a hell of a player. But he can only take so much.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Emmanuel Glass and so many saves, they probably would be worse off than they are. But Cleveland, Minnesota, and Kansas City are sort of like a clone of themselves. They all hit well. They all pitch decently enough to win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. But, I mean, you as well as Brendan and myself are all believing that the Kansas City Royals could pull this thing out and win this division. So interesting here how that goes up. And, interesting to hear you say that 3 were going to make it from there. But really, when you look at it, it does make sense. I mean, I think that you can't count out I know the Mariners are fighting and the Red Sox are fighting too. But ultimately, it does make sense that if Kansas City's the 3rd best team in that division right now, record-wise, that we're going to see all 3 of them in there is not too crazy to say. Now, you said Houston in the AL West will be the only team to make it. There was a 3-way race between Seattle, Texas, and Houston. At any given time this season, one of those teams was in the lead, right? So Texas was near the top, I think, early on in the season, and Seattle took it over, and now Houston took it over. You said when the season started, you said when Houston was struggling within the first, 10 games of the season, you said, I don't care, the Houston Astros are going to win this division. You had no doubt in your mind that they were going to win the division. What makes you believe that Seattle and Texas are done?
Well, they're not good enough right now. I think Texas still has a shot. I think they have very, very slim, something like maybe a 4% chance of trying to get to the playoffs. Seattle's got something like a 12% chance. Nothing. Houston hits better.
Yeah.
They have three all-stars every year. Altuve, Bregman, and Alvarez, top of the order. They hit the hell out of the ball. That's where it gets things rolling. When they got some decent pitching, they'll be all right. You've heard me say this several times over the years, is that you win championships with pitching and defense.
Yeah.
Now, whoever is going to shake down here in the Cleveland, Minnesota, KC, all of these guys are already figuring ahead. New York and Baltimore, they'd love to win a division, sure. Get home field advantage, yeah, it's great, it is. But believe me, all of these teams, the 6 that I've mentioned in each division, are all looking ahead to what the pitching matchups could be in the playoffs. They're already figuring this stuff out. The starters are starting to shake down after 5 innings. They'll pull them right out and put some relievers in there. They're looking for sustainability and starting pitching, which in this day and age isn't very long. If you pitch 6 innings, you're a hero.
Yeah.
Back when I was following it years ago, you had to pitch 9 innings to get anything. So things are different this year, and with this class of player and the class of league. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is, Daniel. Those teams are just too good hittings.
Yeah, and I mean, for the Texas Rangers, they won the World Series in 2023, right? They won the World Series. They're the reigning champions here in America in Major League Baseball. Of the 30 franchises, they defeated the Diamondbacks. Do you really think that, I know you said there's a slim chance that they'll make it, but what are your thoughts on the fact that the reigning World Series champion may not be in the postseason?
It has to do with hitting, again, pitching also. But 2 of their top hitters, which is Marcus Seaman and Corey Seager, who was my MVP player last year, those guys set the table just like Houston plays. There are 3 players at the table. How they go is how the two hitters go. And once things rolling, then they start hitting a little bit better and start picking up. But either one of these players are hitting. I think they're hitting less than 275. You'd like your leadoff hitters, especially, to be hitting over 300, maybe get enough hits and stolen bases to make things exciting. But Texas, just the rest of the team and pitching left. I remember what happened with Texas last year when their manager left. So things change. They change in a heartbeat. Look at Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I never thought, and I say that, never. I never thought Milwaukee could win this division if Craig Counsell left. And I meant that at the beginning of the year. Yeah. I didn't think that they could do this. Well, they did, and they are. And Craig Counsell, what's he doing in Chicago, is at the bottom of the barrel. So it's give or take, Daniel. This is a tough business. These guys have run 162 games is a long, long, long time.
Yeah, and it is. And, I know that as a Diamondbacks fan, right, that they would have a really good first half of the season, bad second half, or a really good second half. Or, they would have a good first half, bad second half, good second half, bad first half, and it just wouldn't work out. So it's really funny. Jerry sent us a message here, and I'll get to it in a second. But, when you look at the division and what's kind of going on with the Houston Astros, like you said, you called it. This is a team that's found a way to do it. The Texas Rangers have struggled. I put the polls up here on X, the former Twitter. That's at CallDT, CALLDT. And the polls that I put up, one of them is I want to get your thoughts now. We've been getting your thoughts through the season. I want to know what you think right now in the moment. So that poll is who will win the AL East between the Orioles and the Yankees. We've had this poll up before this season and during the season at different times. I want to know what you think in this moment. Do you think it's the Orioles? Do you think it's the Yankees? It's gone back and forth. They've been tied a bunch. Right now, the Yankees are a half a game ahead. And the other poll I put up is who will win the AL Central, the Cleveland Guardians, the Minnesota Twins, or the Kansas City Royals. You could vote in those for free by following us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It's called X now, the former Twitter, at CallDT. That's CALLDT. So make sure you vote in those polls. I got a statement here from Jerry, who's a Phillies fan, and he said Phillies will win the World Series, right? And he put a question mark. I said, we'll discuss it. He wrote, I'll get the Tums. So, PJ, my question to you, who's the best team in baseball right now of all 30 franchises?
The best team who's playing right now is probably Cleveland. They've maintained their momentum all year long. Again, they hit and they pitch well. I think they're playing the best, but that can change very quickly. New York, Baltimore certainly are in that conversation also. On the National League side, Milwaukee playing real well. The Dodgers have disappointed this year. Mm-hmm. They're starting to come back a little bit. So right now, Cleveland's playing the best, but that can change next week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people, they want to say Philadelphia, but Philadelphia has struggled. I was in the city of Philadelphia over the weekend, got myself a cheesesteak, ran the Rocky Steps twice, went up, went down, went back up and down again, and you could check out that video that I turned into, hopefully for you, some inspiring words to everybody out there watching and listening, but you could see it on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. Make sure you check it out, and I try to put some inspiring words there. You could see me running the steps, and we got a little promo for the show in there as well. So Philadelphia and Atlanta, you believe they're both going to make it out of the NL East. I don't disagree with you on that. Who is Atlanta right now, I guess is my question to you, PJ. Like the Braves, the Philly. Okay, so the Braves were leading the division, and then the Phillies were getting better, right? The Phillies got better. The Braves were like ahead of the thing or ahead of the division. Then the Phillies started to get hot. Then they stayed hot. Then they're like 12 games ahead, 11 games ahead, 15 games ahead. And since then, they've been able to hold tough here and take care of business. But the Braves are still in it. The Phillies struggled a little bit here in the second half of the season, and the Braves haven't gone away. They're playing each other right now. I mean, they're playing each other in a series right now in this moment. They are, I shouldn't say like right now. Today they're playing. But today they'll face off at 7 o'clock. Now, in their series, the Braves beat the Phillies in the first game 3-1. The Phillies beat the Braves in the second game 3-2. And the deciding game here and who's going to win the series is tonight on August 22nd at 7 p.m. on Fox. So they are literally playing each other right now in this season. And the Braves are 7 games back. They don't have Ronald Acuna Jr., and he obviously got hurt a while back. So without Acuna, the Braves are still alive. The Phillies have faltered. They're playing each other. And the Braves have an opportunity to steal 2 out of 3 from them if they win tonight. Who are the Atlanta Braves, Papa Joe, right now?
They're a shell of a team that they were last year. They've lost some serious players. Acuna, of course. Hard to come back with injuries like that, and hard to fill a position like that. I mean, sure, they got guys sitting on the bench, and they have guys in the minors that they can bring up. But when you talk about Philly and Atlanta, the big difference is that Philadelphia is, you've heard me talk all year about the 3-headed monster they have. They have 3 starting pitchers that can start for anyone, anywhere, anytime. Wheeler, Noah, and Ranger. Those guys combined, I don't know, probably over 40 wins between the 3 of them, probably 45 wins. And when you're in a short series, like a divisional playoff, or maybe even a World Series, you got 3 studs that can play and pitch. They're not going anywhere. So the reason I like Philly in this division is because that they have the 3 pitchers. Now, are they a World Series threat like your friend thinks they are? Possibly. If once they get through the playoffs a little bit, I can be a little bit more objective. But right now, those 3 starters can carry Philly all the way, really, but not necessarily now.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we'll see that race continue. It hasn't felt like much of a race because of the separation that the Phillies created in the first half of the season. And like I said, even when they have had moments where they've tripped a little bit, it hasn't stopped the fact that they had such a large lead in the NL East that they continue to have that lead of 7 games. They're 8.5 games ahead of the Mets. The Milwaukee Brewers, we mentioned here, you believe that they're the only team that's going to make it out of that division. I don't think we have to spend too much time on that. I don't disagree with you. Like I said, the other 4 teams in the NL Central, if the Brewers weren't in this division, there'd be a 4-way race for first place. I mean, St. Louis is a half a game above Cincinnati and Chicago, the Cubs, and they're 3 games ahead of the Pirates. So they're all close to each other, but Milwaukee is the team that is far and away ahead of this thing. And quietly, maybe louder to people now, but so many people have paid attention to the Phillies and the strong lead the Phillies had that maybe they're not paying attention to the fact that the Phillies don't have as big of a lead, a big of a margin that the Brewers have in their division, which is 11 games currently. But you said that the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres will all make the postseason. I don't disagree with you on this. You said in the American League, of the 6 teams that make it, there's going to be 3 from the American League Central. In the National League, of the 6 teams that make it, you chose the NL West to have more representation than any other division, having 3, the NL Central having 1, and the NL East having 2. So the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and Padres, they've been duking this thing out like crazy, fighting each other, going after each other. Sometimes the Diamondbacks are in second. Sometimes it's the Padres. They've been going back and forth, but they've stayed really close to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are not getting probably as much separation as they want when you got 2 teams behind you just by 4 games, which is essentially a series. That's all that is, right? 3 or 4 games is a series. So if the Dodgers trip it all, Arizona and San Diego have the opportunity to jump up. And I talked about this before with Arizona, that if they, get a couple games here and a couple games there, all of a sudden they were going to go from fourth to second. They had an opportunity to go to first. So the Dodgers, with as much money as they've spent, they're not out of this thing. And they might be fighting all the way to the end of the season with teams that are chomping at the bit of them. So my question to you, PJ, I agree with you, the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and the Padres will make the postseason. My question to you is, of those three teams, who is the most dangerous team right now?
Well, it's got to be Los Angeles because of their pitching. And their Mookie Betts is now back playing. He's going to be a major part of their success going forward. With Ohtani, Betts, and Freddie Freeman, and Smith, their catcher, and Teoscar, I forgot his last name. There's 5 guys now playing together again since Betts is in, and they're going to carry LA. And also you got the revival of Clayton Kershaw, who started a couple games here in the last couple of weeks. The last one he pitched was against St. Louis. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs. His ERA is now about 2.63, which is pretty good for Clayton. If he could pitch every 5th day or even 6th day, it's monumental for them. Another pitcher, Walker Buehler, who was one of my favorite pitchers, he came back and pitched, and he got bombed. Yeah. He pitched 4 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 runs, and that's not really getting bombed, but he's a dominant pitcher, and he didn't make it. So I'm looking for him to pick up with Kershaw to add to already a good staff. Jack Flaherty especially, good pick from them, good trade for them. So I think to answer your question is that Los Angeles, providing that Kershaw and Buehler can give them the innings that they need.
Yeah, and I mean, Arizona, I do want to spend a second on them here. They, like I said, they've been going back and forth with the Padres. What are your thoughts on that? The Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres, the way that they've gone up against each other. Arizona has gotten some national exposure, right, for being the team that they have been here, especially outside of the All-Star break. I believe they won 8 or 9 series in a row before losing a series, and now they're back to winning their series again. We are in the second half of the season, getting closer to the postseason, and the Diamondbacks are seemingly to have the momentum that they had last year when they were the hottest team in baseball. They arguably are the hottest team in baseball right now. So what are your thoughts on Arizona and San Diego's bout with each other for second place? And what are your thoughts on the fact that Arizona has nationally been a team that has commanded their series and really come out striking, especially late in the season?
Well, the answer to that question is going to be Arizona. But let me bring something to your attention real quick before I get into some stats here. When you're looking at a series and you're a good team, you look at the schedule and you say, well, I got to sweep the bad teams and I got to split with the good teams. That's essentially what you're doing. You got to sweep the bad teams and split with a good series. So keep that in mind. Okay, Arizona, typically, as was last year, they showed their ass. They just did a wonderful job. They did a great job with Carroll and Marte and those guys carrying forward. But it lasts with Zach Gallen, Kevin Grinkle, Merritt Kelly, and my disappointment this year is Jordan Montgomery, who they signed for mega bucks, and he's not delivering. Now, Montgomery didn't lose last night, but he gave up, I don't know, something like, I got it written down here somewhere, 5 innings, 10 hits, 6 runs. He got a 6.4 ERA. Now, if Arizona's going to go any farther, they need him a lot to back up Gallo and his buddies.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest trade this year for them is getting Josh Bell. I told you I followed Josh Bell for a while with for Philly and Washington, and he's a huge person. He's a stud. Switch hitting, first baseman, fix it good at first base. and he's a smaller version of Aaron Judge from the left side. He does have a problem with curveballs and striking out a lot, but look, if he gets hot, they can take him. And you got Corbin Carroll, of course, is coming back a little bit, and Lourdes Guerrero, who's always doing a good job. I like Carroll coming back the way he has, because I really blasted him a month ago when he was hitting below the Mentosa line. And then what they did is what I thought they would do. They moved him out of the first batting order, moved him down in the order, get him some different looks, different players around him, different situations in the game. When he started hitting batter, they moved him back up into the top leadoff position, and that's where he is right now. I'm not sure. I think he's hitting 225 or 223, something like that. That's not very good, but he's hitting a lot better. He's probably hitting over 300 from the last time that I blasted him. So, it all counts right now. And with Josh Bell and Corbin Carroll, Kellen Marte leading the hitting, and Zach Gallen and his buddies with pitching, I do think that Arizona is the better team of San Diego.
Yeah, we're as we take a look at this, PJ saying in the American League, the Yankees, the Orioles, the Guardians, the Twins, the Royals, and the Astros will make it in no specific order. In the National League, the Phillies, the Braves, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres. Well, I put this up in a poll here, folks. I want to know if you agree or disagree with PJ that these are going to be the teams that are going to make it. So I want to get your thoughts. I want you to send in your vote. Do you agree or disagree that the playoffs are going to feature these 12 teams here in 2024? You could vote with that on X. All you have to do is go to @CallDT on X, the former Twitter. That's @CallDT, CALLDT. Make sure that you click follow while you are there. And once you do that, you can vote in our polls. So polls are up. There's 3 of them up. We try to put them up here with PJ. Who's going to win the AL East? Is it the Orioles or the Yankees? And who's going to win the AL Central between the Guardians, the Twins, and the Royals? Early voting is that people believe the Guardians are going to take care of business. So with that being said, PJ and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break, and we will be back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora momentarily. We appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for your support and your love, as always.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. They are the sports card shop. They are the trading card shop. There is no place like GG Cards and Breaks, and I should know because I've been collecting cards since I was a little kid, and I had a really awesome place growing up as a kid, and, you know, that place ended up closing, and I thought to myself, I'm never going to have a place, you know, maybe I'll never have a place that feels like home again. And then I met GG Cards and Breaks, and I met Josh and Anthony and the team, Alex and Joel. Joel was the first person I met when I came through there. And I can honestly tell you, folks, that when I'm there, I love being there. And when I'm not there, I want to be there. And that's because it's not just a sports card shop. It's not just a trading card shop. It's a place where you can go and you feel welcome. And you can have conversations, and you can get to know people, and you're around people that care, and people that want to help you out, and people that love the hobby and collect themselves. And when you're around people that have that common interest and also that care for people in general, in today's world, positivity, we need it, right? We always need it, but in today's world, we really need it. In today's world, we need that customer service, that guest service. In today's world, we need those people that love being a part of what they're a part of. So when you go into a place and you see people that are selling something that they buy, selling something that they believe in, and on top of that, going the extra mile for you, all of the work that they do behind the scenes, folks, at GG Cards and Breaks, in order for you to have the products that you go and buy there, there is so many things that team does to make sure that they have great stuff for you to buy. From singles to graded cards to packs to boxes, going the extra mile is an understatement. And I see it, and I know it, and I appreciate it. And these guys won't say anything, right? We'll talk about it because we work together, but they won't say anything. They'll jump through hoops for all of you that come through the store. They will jump through hoops to have things there for you, and they don't ask for anything. They don't ask for a pat on the back. It's just what they do. And those are the people that you want to promote. Those are the people that you really care about in the community and appreciate in the community in a special way. 639 Delmar Place is the home of hardworking, dedicated people that you should go see. Support local business, support small business, support GG Cards and Breaks. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Tuesday through Saturday, they're open 10 to 6. Sunday, they're open 10 to 5. So get yourself over there. And if you've never collected before, it's time to jump in. And if you've collected all your life, well, you just found your favorite sports card and trading card shop at GG Cards and Breaks. We'll see you over there very soon. With that being said, PJ's got a couple more notes on the baseball world. So I'm going to hand it off to you, PJ, and get your thoughts here. What do you have for baseball?
Well, just to close the area off, I noticed yesterday that one of my favorite players is retiring, Joey Votto from Cincinnati. Joey Votto was one of these players that loved to play for Cincinnati. He didn't want to go anywhere else. He played 17 years for Cincinnati. He fashioned a .294 batting average, 2,135 hits, 356 home runs, 1,144 RBI, MVP in 2010, six-time All-Star. Now, if that doesn't shout Hall of Fame to you, nothing will. Yeah. Joey Votto retires and will go into the Hall of Fame in 5 years. Yeah. Now, and something else, I watched the Yankees last night for a while. It seemed like Juan Soto and Aaron Judge had their own little deal going. Judge was 2 for 3 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. Soto was 1 for 3, 5 RBIs, 2 for 3, 5 RBIs and 1 home run. Nasty Nestor Cortez pitched 7 innings, only gave up 3 hits and got 4 Ks and won the game. So when Judge and Solo get going like that, man, it's tough to beat.
Yeah, no. And so, I mean, and that's the thing is Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, I mean, is this going to be the future? I think so with the Yankees. And could the Yankees be back, spending this money and building up these teams the way that they have with all-stars? It's reminiscent of the old Yankees, and I think we might be on the way back there. So that is the baseball world. PJ and I will continue to take a look at it. I don't want to jump out of here before I give you my thoughts, so I want to tell you whether or not I agree or disagree with PJ's picks for the playoffs. In the AL East, I do believe the Yankees and the Orioles are going to make it. I don't think that's a tough thing to say. In the Central Division, I still going with the Royals to win that division, and I think the Twins and the Guardians do have a good shot of making it. The Astros I have in there. Seattle, I probably would have said that they were going to make it, but when I'm looking at it right now, I would have to say I agree with the 6 in no specific order that PJ has, that 3 will make it out of the Central, because I think the Royals and the Guardians will make it, and if I put my feet to the fire today, I'd pick the Twins over the Mariners, and then the Astros, Yankees, and Orioles. So I do agree with Papa Joe on that. In the National League, I would like to think, I'm sympathetic with the Mets, so I'd like to think that the Mets could find their way there, but I'm going to say Phillies and Braves. Definitely Brewers are the only ones out of the Central, and I agree with PJ that the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres are going to make it, because the Dodgers, to a lot of people, they're the team, right? They're the team that's going to win the division, but are they the hottest team in there? And the way the Diamondbacks and the Padres have been playing, how exciting has it been? There was at a time in the last 10 games that both teams were 9-1. Now we're looking at it. The Padres are 6-4 in their last 10. The Diamondbacks are 7-3. The Dodgers are 7-3. They've been going. I mean, this fight has been awesome, and I think a lot of people kind of just look at the division, see the Dodgers are winning, and they move on instead of looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that the Dodgers have won 4 in a row. The Diamondbacks have won 3 in a row, and they're getting after it. I mean, the Dodgers on the road are 35-30. The Diamondbacks on the road are 35-30. So they've proven that they can win away from home, and they have the exact same record in that case. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres all have at least 72 wins or better. So there's a lot to be said about this division, and I didn't really think about it and break it down like Papa Joe did here today, but now that I'm looking at it and wrote it down here in the studio, I agree with him on these 12 teams. I don't think that I would like to say the Mets are going to make it, but the Phillies right now have had that lead over the Braves, and it continues to be a bunch of games here. It's 7 still. So I'm going to say the Braves, but I think the NL West is going to send the most, and the Brewers are far and away ahead of the rest of their division, so I don't see the Cardinals making it. So I do agree with PJ on these 12 teams. I put a poll up and asked you if you agree of these 12 that PJ gave and that I agree with here. Do you agree or disagree that these are going to be the 12 in the postseason? It's a 50-50 vote right now. Some of you agree and some of you disagree, and it's at 50-50. Between the Orioles and the Yankees, the early voting is that you're picking the Yankees to win the division. So with that being said, we're going to jump from baseball to football, from one field to the next. And PJ, your thoughts? I know you have a thought on the Jacksonville Jaguars. E.J. Perry, a quarterback, has been added to the roster at the moment, and we have seen the Jaguars already with 3 guys. Mac Jones has been commanding the preseason, and I got some words to say about Mac Jones, but I'm going to hold that here for a second because I know you wanted to talk about the Jaguars signing E.J. Perry and your thoughts on that. So I'm going to hand that off to you, and then I got a few things to say about Mac Jones. But the E.J. Perry addition may be because C.J. Beathard has a groin injury, which can be a nagging injury, and God willing, he'll be okay and stay okay and heal completely and for good, and of course, no matter what, through God. So C.J. Beathard, this might be why, because C.J. has been a backup to Trevor. They brought in Mac Jones, but now they have E.J. Perry, and I know you wanted to talk about that for a second. PJ, so what are your thoughts on E.J.?
I didn't know much about EJ, and this took me by surprise. But it shouldn't have, because I knew that Beathard got hurt, but I didn't know how bad it is. And since I'm an expert on hernias, I've had 4 of them. I know that he's got a hernia. I mean, he's got a set of strained groin. Well, that's what it is. He's got a hernia. So the only way to fix that is to have it repaired, and then you've got to jump back into your training and hope that you don't tear it again. So then I went to look up EJ. Seems like he's a legit guy. Played sparingly in college. Played for, I think, Brown or someone. Anyway, played in the Ivy League for the last 2 years. And that tells me he's a smart guy. So looks like we're going to have 3 quarterbacks for the season, because Beathard is going to be on the injured list, or they're going to drop him. If they drop him, they save money and just leave EJ there, and if something happens, they'll have to figure it out. I was curious about other quarterback news. It seems like that, there's a lot happening. This next week or 2 is going to be really frenetic when it comes to finding out which players are going to be on which teams and who made it and who didn't. And, there's going to be a lot of cuts and signings and everything. And there's no reason to talk about it all now, because it's nothing. Jaguars have made a few moves, but they're non-consequential. I don't pay anything to them. I did notice Jaden Daniels is going to be the starting quarterback for Washington, which is good for him. Don't run so much, Jaden, will you please? Bo Nix is going to start for quarterback at Denver. So that's a good start in the NFL. There's so much going on, and there's going to be so many drops, so many deletions, and the teams have got to get to 53 players, and there's going to be a lot of disappointed men out there. But that's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, that injuries obviously happen, but this is a barbaric sport, and the unfortunate of it is that it happens. The hopefulness is that people heal, and more than anything else, that they have a beautiful life beyond football, because football is only a small portion of their life. So I do want to make a note here. Mac Jones, he's been doing a good job. And the thing with Jacksonville that I think is really, really cool is that the Jaguars have Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones was also drafted in the same draft in 2021. But with Trevor Lawrence, you don't have to play him. He played in the first preseason game against the Chiefs. He went 3 for 4 for 42 yards and a touchdown, speaking of Trevor Lawrence. But Mac Jones went 9 for 11 for 98 yards. And Mac Jones has been a starter in the NFL, starting for the Patriots. This is a guy who wasn't a starter for a day or two. He was the starter of the Patriots. He was the guy who's been out there for multiple weeks. So Jacksonville arguably is playing in their first preseason in a long time where their backup quarterback is a starting quarterback, and there's comfort in that if he can take care of business, and he has. 9 of 11 for 98 yards in the first game in a win over the Chiefs. And then they just defeated the Buccaneers 20-7. Mac Jones went 16 for 23, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So there's a lot to be said about the work that he's put in, and the fact that, again, Jacksonville typically goes into a season with a true backup. Jacksonville this preseason has a starter behind a starter, and that starter has looked like a starter, and his numbers have proven that they have a little insurance policy. Now, nobody wants Trevor Lawrence to be off the field, but Jacksonville has not been prepared in the past when somebody goes off the field. They were not necessarily prepared when Mark Brunell went off the field. They were not prepared when Blake Bortles went off the field. They were not prepared when Gardner Minshew II, if he was to go off the field. And when Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't been off the field much at all since high school into college and now, with Trevor Lawrence last season, arguably he played 4 weeks injured. So bringing in Mac Jones gives the Jaguars an opportunity to breathe a little bit. And that breath has been of fresh air in these first 2 preseason games. Seeing Mac Jones, a starter, have numbers like 9 of 11 for 98 yards and 16 of 23 for 210, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. PJ, this might be the best backup situation the Jaguars have had in a decade. Might be the best backup situation they've ever had.
This was a great move by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They knew, and football knows, that Mac Jones is a quality quarterback. He just wasn't in the right system. And he's a carefree guy. He loves to bounce around, shell jokes, laugh. Now, bringing him in, I'm sure Trevor Lawrence sort of maybe gave a few eyebrows up to see what the hell's going on here.
Yeah.
Trevor, you're going to have to play and play well, because I'm telling you, Patterson, he's not going to monkey around, because I think he's under the gun to win this year and not collapse like he's the last couple of years. And if he sees Trevor having a bad game, he'll yank his ass right out of there. And you don't miss much when you bring in Mac Jones. This was a great move by Jacksonville, and I think it's going to pan out. I don't want to see Trevor Lawrence leave a game, because if he's leaving a game, that means that we're not scoring any runs or hits. Listen to me, runs and hits. I got to think I'm in baseball now. We're not scoring any points. So, Trevor, you got to stay on the field, but if you stay on the field, you got to play well. If not, Mac Jones is coming in. I love it.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's the best situation that they've been in a long time. So I definitely, maybe ever, when it comes to having a backup quarterback. So shout out to Jacksonville for making some smart moves there. Definitely the coaching staff making smarter moves than some other people down in Jacksonville. So, there's a lot to be said about things that are going on, and this team kind of panning out and figuring things out. And PJ and I gave our 53-man roster prediction. That broadcast is available to you on all different outlets. And so we implore you to go and check that out on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in so many different places. To get our thoughts on the 53-man roster, it's up on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. It's on the NFL playlist on our YouTube channel, so click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and go through our NFL playlist. And you can also get it by going to facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. Any other notes about the NFL? You mentioned Jaden Daniels has been named the starter with the Commanders, not surprised. And Bo Nix been named the starter with the Broncos. And by the way, folks, I gave my prediction months ago on who the quarterbacks in the rookie class of 2024, who those guys were going to be that I felt best about. Number 1, Jaden Daniels. Number 2, and I feel like I'm on an island, but that's okay, I picked Bo Nix. I picked Nixie. So the fact that he was just named the starter for Denver, good news for me and hopeful news for my prediction. But I said Jaden Daniels would be the number 1 quarterback in this rookie class through the rookie season. I thought he would have the best rookie season of any of the rookies. And I put Bo Nix behind, like right there. I got Jaden Daniels and I got Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels, I know people agree with me. Bo Nix, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but I believe that Bo Nix is going to show up in Denver, and I believe they're going to have a good season. And my prediction was that he was going to have a successful rookie season, and I stand by that prediction. And the fact that he's been named the starter, that's music to my ears. So any final thoughts, PJ?
The Bo Nix thing, months ago I said that he was going to be drafted in the first round and within the first 10, because I could see that where this was going. Yeah. He's an older quarterback. He's 24 years old. He's probably already got a master's degree if he stayed in school. I'm sure he did. He's a smart guy. The rest of these guys are 21, 22 years old. They don't have enough couillons to keep going, you know what I mean? And Bo Nix he played like a starter. He's an older guy, and he's smart. And look at Sean Payton didn't have to tell him a lot of things. He says, hey, here's the playbook. You learn the playbook, and we'll go out and do some things. That's what he did. And he trusted him, and Bo Nix came through for him.
Yeah. And PJ, just so you know really quick here, the polls that we put up on X, go vote now at CallDT. That's CALLDT on X, the former Twitter. Make sure you click follow while you're there. I want to let you know this. The fans have changed one of the polls, and they agree with us. in early polling. I asked who was going to win the AL Central. The Guardians, the Twins, or the Royals. Early voting was Guardians. And swinging back, Kansas City Royals, now 66.7% of those that voted are picking Kansas City, like you, myself, and Brendan. So I just want to make a note there that y'all are voting, and you have now given the Royals the edge in our poll to win the AL Central. As always, PJ, I don't know where the time goes. It goes by quickly, but I always appreciate it. And next week, we get PJ for 2 hours once again. PJ and I, August 29th, a week from today, the PJ Takeover returns because we are in baseball season, and we will officially be in football season as of this weekend when a bunch of teams are going to be in action, which means college football, NFL, Jaguars, baseball. It is time for us to get after all of it, and PJ is going to be joining me with it. I do want to let y'all know that they call the college football season this week coming up, they call it Week 0. And on Saturday, August 24th, we are going to see Florida State at Georgia Tech. It says at Georgia Tech because it's whatever. But what it really is it's a game that is on neutral ground. It's being played in Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. And so Florida State and Georgia Tech in an ACC matchup will be this Saturday, August 24th at noon Eastern Time on ESPN in Dublin, Ireland. Montana State will be at New Mexico, and that game will be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. SMU will be at Nevada. SMU is now an ACC team, not an American Athletic team anymore. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Their first game in their new era will be on the CBS Sports Network. And Delaware State will be at Hawaii, and that game will be at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, and it does not have a channel that it's on. And then we go into the Thursday games with a huge slate. And before you know it, folks, next Saturday, August 31st, the Syracuse Orange firmly go into the Fran Brown era on the ACC network when they host the Ohio Bobcats at the Dome at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So, college football, NFL, Jaguars on the prowl, Major League Baseball. Are you ready for not 1, but 2 hours of the grand old smooth one? That happens next Thursday, August 29th, when PJ and I are back to 2 hours together, and I can't wait. Papa Joe, for now, I appreciate you. Send love to you, Miss Mary, Joey, and the fam, and I cannot wait for 2 hours next week.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. That's kind.
All right,
Bye.
take care. See you. That coming from Papa Joe here, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I want to thank you for tuning into the show every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're hanging out with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT. Nationally, you're also with us on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, so we appreciate you for being there and hanging out with us on internet streaming radio. And of course, once the shows go live like this one today, they will be added to the archives, and you'll be able to go back and listen. We did a special with the CNS North Stars football program last night, and that is available to you, including my conversation with Cardi Shepard, the 6'7", 315-pound offensive tackle who has committed to Syracuse from CNS. You could check out all of that on youtube.com /wakeupcalldt, and it's also been added to all the channels that are on your screen right now: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York: Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, Ma and Pa's, which is now at the fair. Their location on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool is closed while they're at the fair, so go out and see them between now all the way through Labor Day, which is Monday, September 2nd of this year. Big time thanks to GG Cards and Breaks, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and Servomation Refreshments, which is reimagining and revitalizing the vending world. Go to servomation.com to find out how. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. Find your Dolphins every single Wednesday during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on all of our channels. And, of course, you can find the Dolphins and our content of over 140 videos over the last 3 years plus by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Lemoyne playlist. You'll also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month in what we call the Bobcat Buzz, and you'll find men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and esports all here on Wake Up Call with a spotlight on the Bobcats. Unlike anything you're going to get anywhere else, the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse have 2 campuses. You'll find them right up the road from downtown Syracuse on James Street in Syracuse, New York, and you'll also find them right off of Route 57 in Liverpool across the street from Avicoli's. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll find the BSC Syracuse Bobcats playlist. You also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find the Bearcats during Bearcat Time, which happens weekly exclusively right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide. You will find Bearcat Time in our specials entitled Moments with Marshall, which feature Gene Marshall, the Binghamton University Athletics Director, and the Bearcat Break Room for student athletes, coaches, administration, and more all throughout the year. Binghamton can be found on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Binghamton University playlist. You'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I want to thank my incredible guests for being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Big time shout out to Central New York native, Baldwinsville Bee, Boston College Eagle, and most recently, a coach in the National Football League on the staff of the Tennessee Titans, Tyler Rouse. Big time shout out and very thankful to God that we finally got to do this conversation. I really look forward to speaking with Tyler in the present and the future. So God bless and thank you to Tyler Rouse, and thank you to his hard work, dedication, and determination. And I appreciate him so very much. And of course, when we speak of appreciation, Papa Joe, thank you to PJ. Next Thursday, we're in the PJ Takeover again because we are where baseball and football cross. And at that crossing, we have so much to talk about. PJ and I have to get to baseball, college football, and the NFL starting next week. Can't wait for that. And we'll already have games to talk about because Week 0 is happening this Saturday, August 24th, with that big-time game in Dublin, Ireland between Florida State and Georgia Tech in the ACC and a bunch of games on the schedule. With that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Get out to Lemoyne today at 1 o'clock. The women's soccer team is going to have their 3rd game of the season and 2nd home game. And at 4 o'clock, the men's soccer team at Lemoyne is going to be there at Ted Grant Field for their season opener and home opener. Doubleheader today, 1st game of the season for men's soccer. Go and support Lemoyne men's and women's soccer. The women at 1, the men at 4. We'll see you out there at Ted Grant Field in Syracuse, New York, right off of Erie Boulevard. And, of course, Facebook, once again, at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless, no stress. Do your best. Have a fantastic day, and God willing, we'll be with you Friday morning. Be well and stay safe.